Hi everyone. It's another rainy day here in northern Indiana, but the flowers sure are starting to look pretty. What I want to talk about today is vertigo. I suffered from vertigo from 2019 till 2021 every single day, several times throughout the day, even to the point that I actually lost my job because I couldn't work with the vertigo attacks. So I want to tell you what happened to me. It's not a gimmick. It's not I'm trying to sell you anything. I just want to share with you what happened and how the Lord helped me overcome the vertigo. So very quickly, I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I'll give you the backstory to it. I actually had to have a neck fusion. Now, most doctors consider that the first and the second disc in your neck caused dizziness, but that wasn't the case for me. It was disc 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I really did have to plead with the doctor to go ahead and do the fusion because he didn't believe it was going to do any good because it wasn't disc 1 and 2. But as soon as I woke up from the surgery, I knew something was different. It was amazing. I felt normal the very first time in my life since the beginning of the vertigo. Now, it doesn't happen for everybody this way, I know, and it has to be where the vertigo is not caused by your ears, and I had been checked out several times for that, and it wasn't the ears that caused the vertigo. It was my neck, and so that was praise the Lord moment. So now I want to kind of give you the backstory of that. I lived in Arkansas at the time, and I had been working in the bank and I was lifting heavy files, and I guess I didn't realize at the time that it was really pinching a nerve in my neck. But it got so bad that I would have vertigo so many times throughout the day. And anyone that's had vertigo, you know how horrible it can be. And then you get sick to your stomach, you have to throw up, and it's just a very horrible situation. And you feel like you're falling when you're having vertigo. You feel like you just constantly keep going backwards and backwards and backwards, and the world is just spinning around you. So it's a very horrible situation. I even got to the point where I did pass out one time, and I fell and I broke my ankle. So it wasn't a fun time. But what I was living in Arkansas, and the doctors, they put me through so many different tests, and just to try to figure out what was going on. And finally, the outcome, according to them, was that I was just having anxiety attacks, and they put me on anxiety medicine. Well, I was having anxiety attacks, not to begin with the vertigo, but yes, after I had had vertigo for so many times, it was anxiety that was building up inside of me that was like, when is the next time the vertigo is going to happen, and where am I going to be, and all of this issue. And so I ended up in the hospital several times. It got to the point that it was almost like a daily event of going to the hospital. But no one there could actually figure out what was going on. And then I moved to Indiana to be with my family. My sister and her husband, my brother-in-law, offered me to live with them because I was having these attacks every day and I couldn't work. I did own a house in Arkansas and was able to sell it right after actually I moved, and that was a miracle in itself, but I'll get into that later in another video. But so when I moved to Indiana, I, of course, set up an appointment to see a doctor. And when I saw that doctor and I explained to her what was going on, and she took some x-rays of my neck, she said, "I know exactly what's going on. It's your neck that's causing it." And I thought, "My neck? Are you sure?" And she was, like, "Yes, I'm sure." So I went to a neurologist, and actually I think it was first a sports doctor. I can't think of the right name for it, but anyhow, he right away also said that it was my neck. And then I went to a neurosurgeon. He wasn't so convinced that it was my neck that was causing the problem because, again, it wasn't disc 1 and 2, which is the typical disc where you have dizziness. And I had, again, they had ruled out that it wasn't my ears. That's a whole different story. If it's your ears, it's a different situation. But I finally, thank the Lord, was able to convince him to go ahead and do the surgery. And as I mentioned early on in the video, it really did make a difference. Now, occasionally I still have a little vertigo maybe, an attack just lasts a very short time, and I think it's probably because there's another disc in there that needs to be fused. But right now, I'm dealing with what it is. It's so much better, thank the Lord. I can actually function. I even got to the point in Arkansas where I could not drive. I was so scared to get behind the wheel because I was afraid that a vertigo attack would come on. And what was I going to do? I didn't want to hurt somebody else, and I didn't want to hurt myself. And so I even got to the point that I was afraid to even go out of the house. I mean, it was so debilitating. Even to just go down my stairs to go to the carport, it was frightening. And I would have, thank the Lord, for really good friends and church family that would go grocery shopping for me and bring me my food, and it would help me out that way. I'm really thankful for that. But it really made the difference when I finally got to a doctor who knew what was going on. And I'm not trying to put down the doctors in Arkansas, but the doctor in Indiana knew what was going on. And the amazing part about it is she had just moved to this area, and so she was new to the area. Then about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months after I had my neck fusion, she moved away. And so it was almost like a godsend. I think it was, for such a time as this, that this doctor was put there in that place to actually help me with the situation and find, who knew what was going on and able to get what I needed done. So I just wanted to share this video with you and encourage you that if it's not your ears, talk to your doctor about your neck. And if they kind of try to tell you that it's not, because it's not disc 1 and 2, go a little bit further, push it a little bit further, because it could be the other discs that are causing the vertigo. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical provider or anything like that. I'm just a person who suffered from vertigo and who knows how horrible it can be. And again, like, I'm not trying to sell anything. It's not a gimmick. It's just what happened to me. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and that maybe it helped somebody, because I remember the times that I spent on the internet looking for some type of help, and everything was geared more toward the ears. So it was a wonderful blessing when I found a doctor who went beyond just the ears, and the neurosurgeon who finally was able to go ahead and take care of the problem. And I will say this, the neurosurgeon afterwards apologized to me for making me wait so long, because I did have to wait. It was almost over 6 months, 7 months after I saw him, because he wasn't convinced. And I just kept going back and saying, please, please, please. But anyhow, I want to share that with you, and I hope it helps. Thank you for watching.